Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Sarah Makes podcast. I'm Sarah. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the books that I've read in October and November, the books that I finished reading in October and November, as well as quite a few projects that I've mostly finished or completely finished in the past couple of months. I hope you have some interest in what I'm reading and how I'm feeling about it and what I'm knitting, how I'm feeling about it. And thank you for being here. Okay, enjoy. We're gonna start with the books that I've read. Starting with the things that I finished in October, I finished A Psalm for the Wild Built, which is a novella by Becky Chambers, who is very quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. In this past year, I've read her Wayfarers series. And then I finished A Psalm for the Wild Built. I currently am like 5 pages in maybe on my Kindle to be taught if fortunate. And then I'm planning on reading A Prayer for the Crown Chime in the near future. So A Psalm for the Wild Built. It's been a little while since I've thought about this book because I've been doing a lot of reading lately, but I love the way that Becky Chambers can write a story that has enough plot to carry the characters through things. Like, I could not say enough good things about the Wayfarers series and the way that she takes, like, the point of view of, let's say, in Record of a Spaceborne Few, the I think the culmination of that story really is when um the girl who works as like an after death caretaker on the ship that most humans in the galaxy, I guess, live on. I mean, um she is having a conversation with someone who does sex work, and talking about death and rebirth and the cycle of it all, but from the point of view of a human who hasn't really even seen what life on Earth is like. Of course, this is in a future where life on Earth got so unbearable due to human interaction. It got so unbearable that humans had to leave. But in the humans leaving Earth, they kind of get back to the kind of resourcefulness and ingenuity that humans had before consumerism was so crazy, before capitalism was invented, I guess. And it's really interesting because in that story, I'm on a so crazy different tangent. In Record of a Spaceborne Few, she talks about like her philosophy as someone who works with people who have passed, and the thing that they do with dead bodies on this ship is basically turn them into, like, compost them in order to continue supporting the life that still lives on the ship that they lived on for their whole lives, that they died on. So I think that's a really interesting perspective. In A Psalm for the Wild Built, it's more about finding, and it makes me emotional because her point is that it's really good to love the work that you do, but just being alive and surviving is enough for you. You don't have to find a purpose. And I just love the way she goes about making that point. Um I wasn't expecting to cry on this day, but here we are. Great start to the video. Great start to the video. Um well, yeah, the culmination of A Psalm for the Wild Built is that the main character Dex gets so upset and he's trying to figure out like why he was put on this earth. He wants a job that is fulfilling, but um and there I go again. Dex is non-binary. Dex is not a he, Dex is they. Um they are looking for purpose and they leave their job kind of and decide to go out into the wild to find an old abandoned monastery, and they meet a robot on the way that helps them get there and also helps them realize that just being alive and doing the things that they like to do is enough to live a good life. Which is an incredible point, and I think something that we as a society need to come to terms with, being that the world is in the state that it's in. If you are at all interested in science fiction that's kind of wholesome like that and hopeful like that, I would really recommend Becky Chambers. Like pretty much anything she's written is really incredible. Okay. Moving on from A Psalm for the Wild Built, we have Wolfsong by TJ Klune. I think these are nice sprayed edges. I'm not mad about these sprayed edges. I know some people really don't like them. Um, this book probably could have been like 200 pages shorter than it was if we didn't have to continue harping on the same things over and over again. I just think it was really repetitive. And I think that the conflict between the two main characters could have been shorter. I just I think it was a little bit tedious to get through because it was so much of like the one main character just not letting go of the anger that they knew they were gonna let go of eventually. Um, just like because they wanted to hold on to it because they were stubborn. Um, it bothered me. It did. There are other things that kept getting repeated over and over and over again throughout this story that I was like, okay, like I get it. Can we please just get to the part where we have a big werewolf battle? Please, 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 come on, please. I picked it up because I got excited about like a werewolf kind of thing. Um, and gay werewolves at that. I thought it was going to kind of like bring me back to a place I was when I was like maybe 16, 15. When I was like really into Teen Wolf and read a lot of fan fiction, Teen Wolf fan fiction. It didn't give that though. It really didn't. Um, the other thing that was weird about this book was the age gap romance. Um, didn't really hit. I think TJ Klune pushed it with that a little bit. But, you know, maybe I don't think I'm going to be reading the rest of this series. I think the next time I try a TJ Klune, it's gonna be like House on the Cerulean Sea or something like that. But yeah, that's Wolfsong. After Wolfsong, I hadn't read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and this is when I was hearing about how there was going to be um, a new Hunger Games book and movie coming out sometime in the near future about Haymitch's games. So I, having not yet read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, nor had I seen the movie, I decided to dive right into the Hunger Games universe. So we have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which was an interesting look at Snow's past. Um, and I liked how it kind of littered in like foreshadowing of Katniss and her effect on the country of Panem. Um, I remember when the movie came out, everybody was crazy about the about the guy that played Snow in the movie. I'm not sure what his name is, which might be rude of me, but I think a lot of people were not understanding the like message of the book or the movie. Um like maybe they would have forgiven Snow just cuz he was hot when he was young, not cuz he is like literally a terrible person. Um and that kind of bothered me a little bit, especially in reading this book and understanding his motivations for treating Lucy Gray the way he did. I also have been like in a relationship where I think my partner was both feeling like superior to me and jealous of me at the same time. It was a really weird dynamic, and I kind of saw that dynamic between Coriolanus and Lucy Gray, so that was a little bit irksome for me to read. But yeah, having gone through like a situation similar to that in real life and then reading about it and then understanding that people were like, it doesn't matter, he's so hot, which he's like not even that hot. Like it just it bothered me. And it did like keep my attention. And I enjoyed getting back into the Hunger Games for sure, but yeah, that's the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So directly after that, obviously, I had to get into the Hunger Games, which took me like maybe 2 days to read. But I remember being Team Gale when I first read these books. That now has shifted. Obviously, Peeta was the right person for Katniss to end up with in these books. Just to preface this, I did just finish Mockingjay like a couple of days ago, so I'm still like in that kind of headspace, especially because I watched Mockingjay Part 2 yesterday. Um, so I'm definitely still in like the Hunger Games of it all. It's just insane the amount of parallels there are between the world of the Hunger Games and the world that I live in. And I think they're a good representation of like good dystopian young adult novels. So I really enjoyed rereading these. I don't think I reread them after I finished because I remember finishing Mockingjay and it just kind of like not enjoying it as much. I don't think I really understood the point of Mockingjay when I was in high school, or middle, whenever I was reading it. I think I was in high school at that point. Yeah, so this is really, I think, the first time that I've ever reread The Hunger Games. I've watched the movies a few different times, but haven't reread them in a while, in a long time. So it was good to have a refresher on these things. Um, yes, after I read The Hunger Games, I read the fifth season. N.K. Jemison, first of all, love that this is where her headshot is. Very front cover of the book. Incredible. I love books that are in this font. Whatever that font is, this is my favorite font of story. It's my favorite font to like read a book in. So I'm really glad that I bought this physical copy of the fifth season. And I'm excited to get into the obelisk gate and the stone sky. It's kind of hard to get into the perspective shifts because it doesn't shift to a different perspective at every chapter, nearly every chapter, but some multiple chapters in a row are from the same perspective. But I think it's interesting the way that each different perspective is a different point in the timeline of, and this is a spoiler, each different perspective is a different point in the timeline of the same woman's life. So that is compelling to me. And I just really love science fiction. I really do. Um, each of these novels won the Hugo Award for Best Novel. Each of the books in the series won the Hugo Award for Best Novel like 3 years in a row. So, getting into them, my sister has been wanting me to read them for a really long time. So, I'm glad I started. I'm glad I'm at this point. I think I'm ready to get into the obelisk gate, although that is not, I don't have a physical copy of it at the moment, but I'm excited to start it. I would like to actually grasp what a stone eater is and that whole thing. I mean, obviously there's two more books for me to read to like fully grasp what was going on in the first one. But I fear they might get just more confusing. But I'm still really excited to continue on my journey through the Broken Earth trilogy. Okay, after that, I read Catching Fire. This is, I think, my favorite Hunger Games novel. I don't have the dust jacket for this book because I am bad at keeping dust jackets, just in general. It's part of why I think I prefer a paperback to a hardcover because the dust jackets are just really, really annoying. Because I don't want it on. I don't want that on while I'm reading the book. But regardless, these are copies of The Hunger Games from my parents' house. I went through like boxes and boxes of books from our shelves from when we were growing up, me and my siblings, looking for copies of The Hunger Games because I wanted to reread them and I knew we had them. I couldn't find an actual copy of the first one, The Hunger Games, but I found Catching Fire and Mockingjay, so I took those from my parents' house. And they did not come with the dust jackets, probably because they got destroyed and torn up and thrown away. But you have Catching Fire here. My favorite novel from this. I mean, the games in this novel are interesting, and I love that throughout the series, at least the last two books in the series, the like main focus is to like remember who the real enemy is. It was really devastating when it ended with her waking up in District 13. Okay. This actual copy is starting to fall apart too, see? Oops. Okay. Yeah, and then after Catching Fire, I was gonna read something in between Catching Fire and Mockingjay. Didn't end up happening. I needed to finish. So this is my copy of Mockingjay. It's been torn up, I believe. Our old family dog got her paws on this. There is one page. I remember vividly for some reason. Our dog digging on the pages of this book, and there's like a tear right here on that page. I'm pretty sure that came from her. She's passed now, so it's like a weird memory, but I'm pretty sure she also like chewed on the corner of this book and stuff. It probably did get wet as well, because I used to like to read in the bath and I would always drop books into the water. I used to get in a lot of trouble for like just spilling on my books and stuff. But this was definitely harder to get through, just because I think the material and what was happening in this book was so much heavier than The Hunger Games or Catching Fire, except for maybe it wasn't, because I mean, they were going through horrific things in The Hunger Games and in Catching Fire, obviously, but I mean, this is like first person perspective of what it's like to be in like active war, which is not something that a lot of people can understand or relate to, I don't think, especially in real life. At least not a lot of people in the US. There are people that like live through being bombed all the time. Um, and so this like helps you understand that kind of point of view of like living through a bombing and the aftermath of that and the war tactics of like getting hurting people and then giving them time and then dropping more bombs to kill more people. Things like that. Like what happened to Prim at the very end of this book. Um, which was just, I mean, devastating. The deaths at the end of this book, they happen so quickly. Just like boom, boom, boom. Everybody's dead. Finnick. And all of the people in her squad that are trying to help her get to the um, mansion in the middle of the city to get to Snow so that she could kill him. And then her waking up and her sister, who she has fought so hard to protect since the very beginning of this story, since the first time we met her. And she dies so quickly in such an awful, horrible way. It's devastating. It's really devastating. And the fact that like she has to go on and live with the grief of everything that she's been through and the trauma that everything that she's been through. I mean, Katniss is so resilient and things like that, but my god, there are much worse games to play. Yeah, I mean, just these are incredible novels, and I don't know why I haven't given them the time of day. I think I have a different perspective now reading them than I did before. But I'm really glad that I got to reread them all and have a better understanding of the Hunger Games universe now that I um, am gearing up to read the new Haymitch story, which I'm excited to read about, especially because I don't think I really understood the dynamic between Haymitch and Katniss too much. Yeah. I think that's all I have to say about that. The last book I have to talk about is another book that I read on my Kindle. It was A Master of Djinn. Now, I take my Kindle with me to the gym and read while I do like 12:30 because it's easier than bringing a physical book to the gym. Sometimes I do bring a physical book to the gym to read while I'm doing 12:30, but it is one of my favorite ways to like get my mind off things, off of like how hard it is to keep up with 12:30 or whatever. Um, some people listen to music while they do cardio, some people scroll whatever Instagram or TikTok or whatever while they do cardio, which are things that I've done in the past as well. I have started to replace that with reading. So I read A Master of Jinn, um, and it was interesting. There's like an element of magical realism, and I didn't get this until I was too far into the book, but it was like steampunk magical realism, which is generally not my style. It worked for the book, but I was a little put off. It was just kind of chuggy the whole time. Like imagining the main character detective person carrying around a cane and wearing a bowler hat and her three-piece suit or whatever with the tie and the wingtips. It got a little chuggy cheesy for me. And that put me off a lot at the beginning, I think, until I decided to just like ignore all of that part and just get on with the mystery of the story. Um, I did predict the twist at the end. I think it got kind of obvious to the point where like they're looking for someone who is being an imposter and somehow magically controlling powerful magical beings. Um, and I should have known it probably from the beginning who who the actual imposter was. Um, and yet it took me a while to actually guess it, but I did. I knew that that twist was coming when it did. But yeah, I mean it was interesting. I kind of had to force myself to finish it. And I'm really not someone that DNFs a book. I think I DNF'd one book in this past year, and it was Heart of the Sun Warrior. I mean, I've read almost 40 books this year, and I still have a month to hit that goal. I set my Goodreads goal for 15 because this is the first time I've set a Goodreads goal like ever this year. So I think getting to 40, I'm at 39 on Goodreads right now, so I'll definitely get to 40 by the end of the year, maybe even 42. Um, we'll see, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, A Master of Jinn was interesting in the like magic system that happens in the world. I think that's what really I liked about it. I wasn't too into the steampunk thing and I couldn't really imagine the angels that they were describing. So that was a little off-putting for me, but at the end of the day, I did finish it. It was enjoyable. I liked the fact that there were lesbians. I liked the fact that one of them was butch and the other was dark skinned. I did like the fact that it kind of talked about feminism in like a 1900s Cairo, and like touched on kind of equal rights fights. But at the end of the day, it was a murder mystery, and the main character was a cop. So you win some and you lose some. And it was also steampunk, which was a little weird. But overall, an interesting read. I would give that author another try, maybe. Um, because I do like his magical realism, and I like the idea of like Djinn and Djinn and all of the different little mythical creatures from all cultures kind of actually existing and coexisting with humans. I think that's an interesting idea. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, it wasn't like my favorite book that I've ever read. I thought it was gonna be really good, but it's not the favorite thing that I've ever read. It didn't live up to the hype I gave it in my head, basically. But yeah, those are all the books I've read in the past 2 months, and I'm sure this is a really long clip. Anyways, I have to pee actually, so why don't we have a potty break? Okay, potty break over, guys. This tea is just running right through me. Anyways, okay. Let's get into, I think I want to show you what I got from SoCal Fiber Fair. Originally, going into Fiber Fair, I was planning on looking for a sweater's quantity of yarn that I would use to knit a sweater number 19 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I only went to Fiber Fair on Sunday, and I only went for a couple of hours. The Saturday of Fiber Fair, I went to a concert. I went to see the Front Bottoms with my parents and my brother, my sister, and my brother's girlfriend. And it was a really, really good time. And then on Sunday, my siblings and I decided to do like a little photo shoot to make a Christmas present for our mom. And then after that, I went to Fiber Fair, so I was a little bit tuckered out and not really up for like a huge amount of conversation, and I was also going by myself, but I knew what I was looking for. I didn't end up finding yarn that I was going to be able to use for a sweater 19. Part of the reason for that was just because, I mean, hand-dyed yarn can get really expensive really quickly. Another thing was that there was quite a lot of fingering weight yarn and really not that much DK, at least by the time that I got there. I heard that yet the Saturday of Fiber Fair was very, very busy, and it was a lot less busy on that Sunday, but it was still pretty busy that Sunday. But what I did get from Fiber Fair, because I knew that if I didn't find a sweater's quantity of the yarn, of the color and weight of yarn that I wanted to use in order to make a sweater 19, that I was going to get like spinning supplies. So I bought, and I've already started spinning. I bought a drop spindle on which I'm learning to spin with. This is some stuff that broke off of. Okay. I have so far spun 2 things. So here's one of the things. This is just washed and dried straight off the spindle. This is the second, my second attempt at spinning, and this is my first. Overspun for sure. Like, but, you know, it's cool to see an improvement between 1 and 2, for sure. So yeah, I bought spinning supplies. I am planning on plying this just to see how it goes, but I don't have a yarn ball winder. So what, and I'm not exactly sure the lengths of either of these, and because of that, I don't want to ply like from one of each of these. I would prefer to ply from both ends of this and then both ends of this and then see how much yarn I get from that. But I don't have a yarn ball winder, so I am going to need to learn how to wind a center pull ball of yarn by hand in order to ply these. But this fiber is from Clockwork Fiber Co. I have the rest of it in here. It was originally in a braid that was like curled up. But these, okay, I bought two braids of fiber, and these were just like, I did a lap around the fiber fair, and then I did like 2 laps around the fiber fair, and then I knew what I had seen and what like was calling to me at that point. So I bought the spindle, and then I'll show you guys. I bought the spindle, which was, I'm not exactly sure which booth it was from, but it just looks like this, and it's a pretty basic drop spindle. I actually have started reading Respect the Spindle, which is a book by someone who learned to use a drop spindle in Peru, and I'm really enjoying reading that. I don't normally enjoy reading nonfiction books, but since even though this is nonfiction, it's about like kind of the science behind spinning and why spindles work the way they do and how they work the way they do. And as someone who really has like more of like a bottom up understanding of things, then just like a general knowledge is okay for me to move forward. Like I my first skein of this, when I got home and I was like, okay, I'm learning to spin right now. So I looked up YouTube videos and I kind of just did that. I didn't understand what drafting was, and now I do. And I'm getting better. I think this progress on this part of fiber that I've gone so far is still good progress. I mean, I'm not really quite understanding what it means to overspin versus like underspun. But I mean, worst comes to worst, and if I can't knit with whatever I end up making from this bat of fiber, I'll probably eventually use it on like a weaving project. Because I haven't learned to weave yet, so I think maybe if I made like a really simple loom and just kind of did weaving like that, I think it would be a fun little project for me to use my first attempt at handspun. So yes, where was I? I did a lap around the fiber fair, and then I did another lap around, and then I bought that spindle, and then I bought this, which is so beautiful, from Wonderland Dye Works. This was the first thing I saw on my first lap around the fiber fair that I was like, wow, that is so beautiful. So this is like the first thing that kind of calls to me, I guess. The thing is, this it's 50% merino, 25% bamboo, and 25% tussa silk. So as someone who has never spun anything before, this is probably, I was informed by the very nice, helpful lady that I bought this from. um, I was informed that this would probably be hard to spin as a very beginner, so I'm going to save this for when I'm a little bit more experienced. But look, I mean, it is just so beautiful, and I cannot wait to see what kind of yarn it makes, for serious. So I'm really looking forward to spinning this up eventually. That'll probably be maybe a thing that I get to towards the end of next year, if I've, you know, really stuck to spinning. I think I will, because I do enjoy the process of spinning, at least so far. Yes. Anyways, after that, when I was told, I was originally just going to buy this. And then when she told me that I probably shouldn't learn to spin with this because it would be hard, I went to another booth where I had seen this braid before, and I was like, wow, that is so pretty. I took it out of the braid, but it's just beautiful, gorgeous, yummy, yummy, beautiful, gorgeous fiber. I really like the teal and the purple, and like the lighter green. I just think it's so pretty. Like I said, it's from Clockwork Fiber Co. It's their analog fiber, so it's 100% non-superwash Shanika wool. And the color is called Northern Lights. Which is why I think I'll do a weaving project and kind of do like black and then does that make any sense? And then like a Northern Lights kind of themed weaving project as maybe my first weaving project. Who even knows? I sure don't. But yeah, that's all I got from Fiber Fair. This was really like a birthday present to myself because my birthday is coming up this month in December. I am a Sagittarius. So yeah, I'm really excited to finishing this fiber up, and then maybe ordering some kind of cheaper fiber off of Etsy, because I guess not cheaper, but like fiber to learn to spin with, to like make an art yarn, to eventually learn to weave with. I think that's going to be my goal with the beginning with I think that's going to be my goal with my spinning, the beginning of my spinning journey. I'm not exactly sure what makes a yarn good to knit with versus good to weave with. I think there's a difference there for sure, and I think that it is maybe a little bit more difficult or a little bit more of a skill to produce yarn that is good to knit with. So with that being said, I think the beginning of my spinning journey should be to produce yarns that I will eventually learn to weave with, unlike the most basic looms you could even imagine, but just like make some wall hangings or stuff like that, you know? So that's my journey and what I think my spinning journey is going to lead to so far. I do eventually hope to be able to spin a really good yarn in order to like knit with it and make stuff, pieces, clothing pieces with it, instead of just like making wall hangings. But I'm not exactly sure how to do that yet, or if I'm making yarn that is, you know, going to be good to knit with. I also, because of Fiber Fair, found out about a Spinners Guild that has monthly meetings in Los Angeles. So, which is kind of a far drive for me, but I think they will be helpful for me in learning to spin and stuff like that. I think one of my like dreams is to be able to take fleece from a sheep, spin it into yarn, like fully go sheep to sweater, you know? And being able to do all of the steps in that process like by myself. I think that would be a really rewarding experience for me. So I am why am I gonna cry again? Yeah, I really wish that, not even that I should have started sooner. I am genuinely really excited at the idea of being able to take a fleece from a sheep and make it into a wearable piece of clothing. I think it's beautiful. And it's making me emotional. Wow. Anyways, so that's my spinning journey. That's what I got from SoCal Fiber Fair. And I'm really excited about being a beginner at something. It's been a minute since I've been like a real beginner at something, so I'm just like, it's been really fun. It's been fun so far, and I've only had this stuff for a week, so I just gotta keep practicing. I have actually more finished pieces than is normal for me. A lot of the time I get most of the way through something and then the actual finishing of it is too daunting, so I don't. But my goal is to actually finish stuff. My intention is to actually finish stuff when I start it, so I have a few things to show you, quite a few things to show you. So, this was part of my last video, my Thelma vest. This is a pattern by Lapole. I made it from Noro Kakigori. I'm not exactly sure of the name of the colorway, but I think it turned out really nicely. I haven't worn it yet. I think it will be a little big on me, but I think I'm gonna be able to pull it off eventually. Maybe I should get like a collared shirt to wear underneath, like a white collared shirt. That might be cool. Another thing I finished is these crochet shorts that I started during the summer. That's the back, actually. These are the front. The thing that I needed to finish about these was the fact that, okay, I made these in 100% not 100% cotton, because the fiber, the material was a recycled yarn. So it was recycled cotton, but also other recycled fibers like viscose and things like that. So they're not 100% cotton, but these are mostly cotton. And being the fact that this is also crochet, they're too stretchy without the bounce back that I would want from a pair of shorts that are like this. And so I know it makes them a little weird looking now, but when they're on and they're stretched out to like the length that they need to be to stay on my body, they look great. So I'm glad to have these finished. I think that next year I want to reattempt another similar pair of shorts. The last thing that I finished from my last video to show you guys, you might know about, is my Dump Him little tube top guy. I really like this guy. I want to figure out how to wear it. I think I need like fishnet sleeves and wear that on top, and then I think that would be really cute. And then another thing, this is crazy. This is not 100% finished, but it is a laptop case that you might notice the stitch changes a little bit through the pattern. I started this with scraps and then I ran out of the purple scraps, so I had to get more similar purple scraps to work, not scraps, a more similar purple yarn to work with. And when I did finally purchase that and come home and like really want to get started on finishing this laptop case, I was really tired of the stitch that I was doing. So it was basically a single crochet, but in order to get the like knit stitch look, like stockinette look with the crochet stitch, single stitch, you had to go through, instead of just going through underneath the like loops, you had to go through the knot, and my crochet gauge is just too tight for that to be comfortable. Like my hands were really hurting after just a row of doing that stitch, especially when I got back to finish the actual piece. I mean, I have this left over, but in an effort to just finish this laptop case so I could start using it, so I could start taking my laptop places, I just needed to get it done. So I do need to put a button on the front so that I can like, I'll put a button like right here so that I can basically like tie it closed. But yeah, it's just very homemade looking. It's kind of quaint or cute or whatever. I'm glad I finally finished it. I'm probably not gonna make another laptop case ever again, hopefully. So I'm glad this is pretty much almost done. I have to say, I don't remember the date that I started my hipster hat on, but I do remember that I finished it in like 3 days, which was crazy. I have worn it quite a few times since I finished it, and I'm just really glad that I finally have this very nice, beautiful knit accessory for myself. I did hold mohair in this fabric, so it's a warm hat, but it is kind of itchy for me. I'm a little bit sensitive. I'm trying to become less sensitive to wool, and honestly, doing that is through exposure, so this is a good thing to kind of expose myself to the itchiness of wool. So that's another, I mean, this is fully finished. It's beautiful and I love it. I am in the middle. Okay, so I have a bunch of leftover from this hat, and I was knitting that into a scarf, but I ran out of the mohair that I was using, so I actually have to find another ball of the same mohair in the same color. I went to the yarn shop that I bought the I got the yarn for this in a kit, so I went to the yarn shop that I bought that kit from, and they had the brand of the mohair that I was using, but not the color I was using, so maybe the next time I go there, they're gonna have that. We shall see, but otherwise that scarf is gonna be on hold until I can get another ball of that mohair that I was using. So that I can use up the rest of the leftover from that hat. I think it would be really nice to have like a matching hat and scarf. I know it doesn't get too crazy cold in California, but I would still like to have those accessories, you know? They're nice things. They're just nice things to have. Okay, next I'm going to show you this crochet vest that I kind of started on a whim. Okay. It's not completely 100% done. I have ends to weave in. See? And I'm gonna put like a hook and eye closure in the front. But I crocheted this. It was a bit of an impulse kind of project start. I wasn't exactly sure where I was going with this, but I'm happy with where I landed. I'm really happy with where I landed. Basically what I did was crochet the back panel all the way up and then continue on the front side, and then crocheted increases on the front side to where I wanted it to meet in the middle, and then crocheted down, and then repeated the same on the other side, and then I did a single crochet just like border on the armholes and the whole outside of it, and I think it turned out really, really nice. I'm actually really happy with this, considering I didn't really know what I was doing when I started. So I'm actually very excited to figure out how I can style this piece once I get the hook and eye closure on. And the ends weaved in. Another crochet piece I have to show you is a Scoodie. This I am planning on sending to a friend as a Christmas gift. I know the short's kind of the scarf is kind of short, but I didn't have like a ton of this yarn to work with, and I did make the hood panels first, which is why I have a different color pattern on the hood than I do on the scarf. This was my original idea. I wasn't sure with the yarn that I had if I was going to be able to make this and the scarf the same colorway. Once I finished both of these squares, I realized that I wasn't going to be able to do that, so the lighter green had to become the accent color if I was to finish this project, because this is yarn that I got from my mom, who got it from her friend whose mom had passed away when my mom took that stuff when she was like cleaning out her mom's stuff after she had passed away. So this is like hand-me-down yarn for a couple of things. I do have more of the same brand of yarn in different colors that I'm planning on making another Scoodie with. So stay tuned for that video. It's gonna be its own dedicated video. I haven't started it yet, but I'm excited about making another one of these. The last thing I have to show you is actually a project I literally finished last night. I stayed up kind of late to finish it, but this is a project I didn't actually plan on even finishing. I just kind of picked it up, and once I got going on it, like, it was easy. These are a pair of shorts modified from, yes, I believe this is the front, because, yeah, that's the front. These are modified from the Boring Knit Biker short pattern that I bought from the Boring Knit Going Out of Business sale. I had attempted to make, not even attempted, I made a pair of shorts with the Boring Knit Biker short pattern before. But the first time I attempted that pattern, or the first time I used that pattern, I used yarn that was a cotton and bamboo blend. The yarn that's called for in the pattern is a cotton and wool blend. Now, because I used the cotton and bamboo blend, the shorts turned out to just have too much drape. And they didn't, like, I looked like I had a soggy diaper after wearing the shorts for like 10 minutes. So I frogged those. I reclaimed the waistbands that I had made, basically. The shorts calls for an elastic band in the length that you want it to be, like around where you want, around your waist, basically. So when I frogged that first pair, I obviously kept the elastic because I knew I wanted a pair of the shorts. I knew I wanted to make these shorts. So eventually later on, after realizing that my first pair of biker shorts was not gonna stay biker shorts, I had purchased yarn from Knit Picks, their wool and cotton, which is a 50% cotton, 50% wool blend. And honestly beautiful. I really like the way these shorts turned out. I did a yoga class in them yesterday after I finished them, just to make sure that they were going to be what I needed them to be. And they were really awesome. I had only ordered 2 skeins of the wool and cotton and lost yarn chicken so severely the first time I cast these shorts on with this yarn. Yeah, I just severely underestimated the amount of yarn that was going to need to make the full pattern. So I decided to go back, to frog back. I put a lifeline in. I put a lifeline in probably somewhere up here. Somewhere like here. So that I could frog, because I had finished the like increases through the front middle and was working on one of the legs when I ran out of yarn the first time. So I put a lifeline in around here and then frogged back and continued the increases through the front and the back in the middle. But I did less rounds of them. So I think originally I did 6 rounds of increases instead of, I think, the recommended 8. And then for each of the legs, I did 5 rounds of decreases instead of the recommended, like, 10. And then I did only 5 rows of ribbing at the bottom instead of the recommended 3 centimeters of ribbing. And I, finished the shorts in a good way. They definitely need a good blocking. Obviously, the ribbing is all wonky right here, but on, they're gorgeous. And I'm very proud of myself for actually finishing these shorts, because now I have one less thing in my basket of projects that need to be finished before I can really meaningfully buy more yarn. Do you want a chocolate chip? No? Okay. That's fine. More for me. Hi. Thank you guys for watching. Charlie says thank you too. He loves you. He loves you so much. He also loves to be held like this. Can you tell? Sorry, I got distracted. Yes, thank you for watching if you made it that far, if you made it this far in the video. If you are inclined to, if you are feeling inclined to sending me a little like birthday love, you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel, or you could like this video or comment on this video. You could also head over to Instagram and follow me there. I am planning on being a lot more consistent with posting not only on YouTube but also on my Instagram in the coming year, so get ready for content from me over there. My Instagram is the same as this YouTube channel like title, so you can follow me there at SsarahMakesS with 2 S's at the beginning and the end. And I think for now that's it. I will talk to you guys all later. Bye.